Guys, I know it. You came to this video because you wanted to learn the secrets to living to 100 years of age, right? So don't worry, I've done all the work, and I will make sure you learn those principles. But there's one principle I actually disagree with, a principle I will make sure you know because it may be the one most important principle not to focus on. So what's my source for the longevity principles, right? It's the well-known principles shared by Dan Buettner, principles he learned after traveling to what he calls the 5 blue zones. Now, the first thing you must hear, however, let's be clear about this. Although your genes play a role, the research suggests it's only about 10% as important from what they call the Danish twin studies. Now, although this is an observational study which does not show cause and effect, it does suggest that your lifestyle is where you should put your focus and not your genetics. So let's think about the common principles that people in the blue zones share. The first one is that they move naturally, right? Now, I don't mean going to the local gym. No, they don't do that at all. Instead, I'm talking about, walking up the hills, spending a lot of time outdoors gardening, or simply walking to the homes of their friends, maybe to the store, or even to the church. So when I think of my life, I literally only have to take a few steps when I leave my house to get to my car, and that's it. And when I arrive at work, I park only a few steps from the entrance to my clinic. So I think I need to rethink that. And you need to rethink it too. We need to do more natural movement and increase our opportunities to move whenever we can. Maybe where we park our cars, or simply walking to the store for a change. Now, the second principle is to downshift, right? What that means is maybe not working as hard as a doctor does, just taking a moment in your day to pause and reflect. By simply finding time to take it easy, you are likely to do much better in terms of your longevity goals. By doing this, you'll tend to have less chronic stress exposure by simply not being in a hurry all the time. So let's just slow down a little and not be in a rush all the time. What about the principle of living your life purpose? That sounds important. By simply knowing and living your life purpose, you can expect to add 7 years to your life expectancy. Think about that just by simply doing that. One of my previous videos shared the top 5 regrets of the dying, and the number 1 principle was, I wish I had the courage to live a life true to myself and not the life others expected of me, right? And one of the best ways to do that is to live in your purpose. Focus on what you want to do, not what others want you to do. Other principles include being okay with a little wine. I know a lot of you like that one. Although I never encourage patients to start drinking to be healthy, that really wouldn't make sense. It is nice to know that a glass of wine at the end of the day can be beneficial for many of us, however. The 80% rule is simply the idea that you eat until you're about 80% full. That way you don't overeat. And now we're at the part of the video that I give you that promise that part I disagree with, right? And that is that plant slant that Dan Buettner always talks about when he talks about the blue zone. The idea that the blue zones is mostly plant-based is factually incorrect, which is why my first blue zones video poked fun at Dan Buettner with the little statement, "Oh no, Lord, I've sinned." So I encourage you to check out that video, especially if someone you know is convinced that the people in the blue zones are plant-based. I'll have a link in the video notes for that. That video will provide some much needed clarity that I think everybody should be aware of. As you look at the foundational principles of the blue zones, you will notice that it's all about connection. They put their families first. They tend to belong to some type of community, like a church, and they belong to the right tribe. So in other words, who you hang with matters. And if you hang out with unhealthy people, it's likely you will be unhealthy as well. So imagine you have a friend who enjoys smoking, or chuckles every time you say you're going to exercise or go to the gym. That's more likely to discourage than encourage the right behaviors that you have. So just be careful who you are spending a lot of time with. So as you can see, there's no magical pill or exercise program that will add years to your life. But if we consider these basic principles, we can at least start the process of being mindful of some of the ways those who have achieved longevity have done it. And I really hope these principles have given you some food for thought. And hopefully you can apply some of these principles in your life. If you want to learn more, maybe you should check out the Blue Zones documentary that's on Netflix. And in spite of the plant slant, which I actually disagree with, I actually enjoyed the documentary a ton. So I really appreciate you coming to this video. I hope it added value to your life. And until the next video from the Metabolic Health Doc, continue to be safe, be well, and continue to protect your nest.